So we know that every pregnancy is unique to every woman. So you can have one pregnancy, you can feel one way, and then another one you feel different. How was it for you, the second one?
And we both listened to the
Heartbeat.
the very healthy, fine heartbeat of that infant in my belly. So that was a special treat during pregnancy.
Welcome to Tiny Tales,
where we explore the unique experience
that giving birth is to every woman.
We will hear the personal tales of women in Ghana who will take us on their journeys
to motherhood, from conception to birth, to the first 3 months after the baby is born.
This season is sponsored and co-hosted by Gaia Organics,
your plug for fresh, healthy organic food in Jamulu, Accra.
Welcome to Tiny Tales. Today we're talking to Kati, the mother of Enyana, 41, and Sena, 39. So Kati, you came here to Ghana from Hungary many years ago, 40 years ago plus. So maybe you can just take us a little bit through your story. What brought you to Ghana?
The usual thing, a handsome Ghanaian student.
I know that.
A young man who was on a scholarship and studied in my school town. He studied petroleum engineering, and when his time was up, he said, before his time was up, he asked me, listen, I'm going back to Ghana. If we marry, you come home. I said, let's marry. And so we married, and I followed him. In 1979, August, I landed. That was 44 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
And 2 years later, our first daughter was born.
Yeah. And how old were you at this point?
22.
So you were
I came to Ghana when I was 20 years old, married when I was 19 years old. What do you know?
So you were both young. It was back in the late 70s, early 80s. You were new in the country, and now you're pregnant.
And I spoke no English.
And you spoke no English.
At that point.
How did you speak with your husband?
Hungarian.
He spoke Hungarian.
He spent 6.5 years in Hungary. He had to speak good enough Hungarian to convince me.
Right? Good point.
And he did.
Wow. So so you were here, you were pregnant. How did you feel? Were you starting to...
I wasn't pregnant at once. It took 2 years. So my English improved a little. Much later, I went to the Institute of Languages and I made my single subject O-level exam in English. Hence, the culture of conversation.
Yeah.
But I also enjoyed my Ghanaian English very much with all the body language and the oohs and ahs and such.
Right.
Anyway, so we lived in Kati at the time when I was pregnant with Enyonam, and there was a St. Dominic's, a Catholic hospital there. And I went for the occasional checkup, and I had many bouts of malaria. I was new. So anyway, we had friends in Accra who said, come, deliver in Accra. So the 37 military hospital was known to be the best equipped hospital with both doctors and equipment and all that. So we used our connections to get in. So I stayed with my friend, and this child wanted to come in a hurry. So 3 weeks prior to the appointed time,
wow.
But I was already in Accra.
Okay.
And in my friend's house, I felt yes, it's coming. So we called our doctor friend, who was also trained in Hungary, who made me space there. But it was 9 p.m. by the time we went in when my water broke. Then we knew, I have to go now.
Yes.
So we went, and he was standby, like emergency or something, you know.
Yeah.
So I was taken to the delivery ward, and those days they give you enema. They check your pain tolerance, how Ajay or no Ajay coming, you know. You can bear the pain, you are there, you were encouraged to walk up and down and empty your bowels or whatever. And later on, I was ushered in on a table and with your legs, and I only remember they said, oh, it's 2 a.m. and then it's ready to come.
You'd only been here for two years, still very young. How did you're far away from your family, how did you feel being pregnant and having to be very far away?
Pregnant is a natural way. You married because you want to start a family with your man. And 2 years holding up was long enough. I said, life is life. I mean, whatever comes, people live here, millions of people. So let's go ahead and let's have started that family.
Yeah.
And regarding the delivery, I brought with me book and even brought children's book, Hungarian books, because we were allowed to bring 500 kilogram of goodies. So washing machine, record player, few things could come along, you know, and rope. I was doing macrame. What do you know, 44 years ago, macrame was also the rage of the day, just like these days. There is a serious revival of macrame. And so I brought a book, Jenny Rajborg wrote it, a well-known doctor. So I said, okay, I don't speak English, but I sure can read Hungarian. So I went through the process of pregnancy up to delivery. So I'm familiar with every stage that's happening. I can't follow basic instructions. I can follow, of course, but then I don't know why, what to expect.
Yeah.
So I prepared myself mentally.
And did you see a midwife? Did you see anybody?
In the St. Dominic's Hospital, there were checkups, and especially because I had many bouts of malaria. We counted 8.
While you were pregnant?
Wow.
Wow.
So I said, now what's going to happen, or will it affect or not, or whatever is happening. But I had an otherwise young and healthy body, and keen and willing and happy to bring forth.
And how do they check at that point? What happened at the checkups with the doctors?
The midwife will check you, how are you, and looking at your general well-being, and I don't know what blood test if they take, because the malaria was always discovered, so there were blood tests. And I remember once we came to Accra, it was a special treat. We went to the Kumaji Hospital to have how do you call it? You only hear the sound, there was no picture.
Oh, like an ultrasound?
Yes, ultrasound, yes. He had it in Ghana in 1981. So we went and we both listened to the
Heartbeat.
The very healthy, fine heartbeat of that infant in my belly. So that was a special treat during pregnancy. Other than that, to deal with the malaria, eat well enough and try not to throw up. The first 3 months I did. So my favorite food became the yam. A fried egg that I could tolerate, yes. For the first few months, now that I'm thinking back. But
So it's for a few months always.
it's just as well, because there was no big variety of food then.
Oh, okay. so then, Enunam came, and did you stay in the hospital for a while?
Within 24 hours, we were sent out. Remember, I wasn't the wife of an officer. And the space was much needed because that was the best place to deliver, the safest and everything, according to our friends. So I was out in 24 hours, delivered 2 a.m. So I was out, after 1, when they could check me out.
Yeah.
So within 24 hours, I was home.
And where did you go? Did you go to your friend's place?
No, my friend's place, yes. And then we were given a room. Because what else to do? Later on, my husband still didn't get the job for him, so they asked him, why did you come back? And he was like, I'm coming to build my country.
Yes.
So we went back to Aquatia, to a teacher's friend's bungalow where we had more space and all that.
And who did you have to help you out? Because in Ghana it's customary that the mom comes over and helps take care of the baby.
With Enunam, they came to visit, but they could not take part in their life. There was no space, hardly to have them sit, because we were 2 families in a 2-bedroom flat.
Okay. Wow.
So anyway, with the second, my mother-in-law came and did all the bathing and everything that, until I held my head and said, this particular thing, please don't press the head, don't use the whole towel on the head. Yes, for waist, yes, for beads were given to anyone. Yes.
Yeah, but for the first one, you had to do everything yourself, right? You had to do everything yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Who else? The mother.
You're the mother.
Wherever else you are outside Ghana,
That's how it works.
Sometimes it's nice to linger in the hospital for 4 or 5 days, but then it's okay. You're strong, you're healthy. That's what everybody does. That's what I do. So that was nice. I came young, so I didn't have preconceived ideas of the right thing, the better thing, the safer thing. You get at it and go for it, and there was no question, what if I don't have milk? Why? You deliver a baby, you have milk.
Right. So I guess you had milk.
I had no room for doubt.
Right. And how did that go? You were breastfeeding?
Yeah, sure.
Did that go?
Oh yes, and I had Benjamin spoke Bible on children raising, and I did not listen to him, leave your child crying in the night so that the child learns. No, babies don't learn. They cry, they're hungry, you cuddle, you check the diaper, put on the breast.
Yes.
That's the only comfort for everybody, mother and daughter, And we were in a friend's house. So
But some of the things that we see sometimes is breastfeeding is natural, yes, but it's not necessarily easy. And sometimes it takes a while to like even for the baby to latch on. Even that even happened with my
But
daughter.
our friend was a nurse, and she said, Kati, yes, it's hurting you, yeah, but it will come and it will come after the first few days. It's automatic, I think.
For some, but not necessarily for everybody. For some it comes and
I
it's
have
fine.
no room for doubt because I have no remedy for any alternation.
You couldn't do anything else, no.
I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So
There
I
was
have
was
to
there a
have.
formula? Could you have bought formula?
Later on, when we moved back to Accra, yes, at 37 I delivered, so we were allowed to go back for weighing, which is even necessary. So you have the weighing card for the baby, where they follow the development, they weigh and they look, and yes, then that every baby who goes for weighing will get the formula, will get one thing or the other for free
Oh, okay.
within the weighing process.
Oh.
These were hard times, don't forget. In Ghana, until early 80s were rather difficult, so yeah.
Yeah, my husband was born in 1983 during I guess that was the famine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's your husband?
And
Oh,
he was
that's
born
my
in
daughter.
83, that's your daughter, yes. So that was a hard time. He was telling me a story from his mom, how she survived and how she went around.
We cooked once a day, yes, and there was food, and I had to eat a lot of palm soup for
Yes.
work. There was no beer to boost blood, but there was palm soup.
Okay. And was there any point in all of this when you were thinking, I should have stayed hungry? Were you ever thinking?
No,
you were never
because
thinking back?
I always saw the whole picture. I asked my husband, at some point he wanted to migrate to Canada. I said, no. You want to leave? You find our life hard enough? We go to Hungary. He said, no, I will not go back to Hungary. Eastern Europe, black man, is not an ideal world. We go to Canada. He started the process and I said, I'm not going. If we go to Canada, you are going to work, I'm going to work. Then we are saving money for you to go to Ghana, for me to go to Hungary. And in the process of working hard and trying your holidays and coordinate, our children will grow up as pure Canadians. I said, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not going just to work, no matter what the Western environment. It's either Ghana or Hungary. Somebody must be at home. That was my young brain.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was so upset with me. But 20 years later, he kissed my hand for my decision. But he had no choice, Hungary or Ghana.
Yeah.
But he said, don't you see food is like that? I said, we kill, we get a cheat, we get 5 kilo fish. We kill, you get a cheat, you get palm oil we could do because he was a village boy. So we made palm oil, we bought the palm fruit from Kati, we pounded it, we cooked it, we had it. Then we had ant invasion. So you can be very colorful about how cheap, but we don't want to romanticize or idolize it. It was hard, all right, but for me it was still like, hey, this is life as we know it.
Yeah, because I mean, also coming from Hungary, what kind of life did you come from back then? I mean, would you?
Nothing privileged. School, finished school and off I packed. My parents, bless them, they only said that, you're going that far? And then since then, my mother was here, my sister, my niece, my nephew, my girlfriend, the babies. I mean, it became more easily accessible for them to come.
Yeah. But it must have been hard also for them to pick up grandparents sitting so far away, not being able to, you didn't have cell phones.
I went after 3 years with Enyonam, and I got to know that I was pregnant with the second one, Sana. And so they saw us, but there was 8 years where we couldn't scrape enough money together for the 3 of us to go. But after that, 3 years, 2 years, yeah. But you have to give yourself a chance to grow and not sit in the corner and feel sorry, but do something. I made my English O-level, I went in employment, I did macrame, I sold it. Beads were added to my macrame because I wanted to show I am in Ghana. What is in Ghana that my macrame will reflect? Beads were the obvious things. And slowly the beads took over my macrame design and then even my life. And I got rewarded for doing what I love. I also thought this is my fine bridge to walk into my husband's culture and something I can relate from my heart. I don't have to explain away or get scientific or get super understanding why they do things I don't comprehend. and tell my children.
Yeah.
So I was happy enough to let them learn early how to eat by hand from one common bowl, for example, or how to eat neatly, because that's what the environment demands. I wasn't afraid of the neighbors' children because they were either fellow teachers or fellow engineers, fellow employees, families. So it was good enough for me.
Yeah.
And they found that freedom, like childhood, rewarding.
Yeah. Did you teach them? Did they speak Hungarian?
Hungarian, yes.
Hungarian,
English,
sorry.
yes.
They
And
took
Fanti was their next language. Not even Eve. Eve on a rudimentary basis, because I enjoy the Eve that I know. Because with relatives is simply polite, you know. And out of politeness the joy comes. Then you learn one song after the other for children from the Hajik Ballet, from the singing hymn book, you know. Then it's joyful. So fear did not drive me, I can tell you that.
I can tell as well. It seems like you were driven by strength and driven by the fact that you've chosen this life and now you're going to live this life. It's a very practical.
You can't
thing,
know too much, it spoils everything.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Did you also, did your girls grow up speaking or eating Hungarian food as well? Did you cook
As
for them?
much as I could afford. These days it almost doesn't matter what nationality you cook. The ingredients are pretty much similar. But those days, no, I had to learn how to eat beans 3-4 different ways, how to eat the palm nut soup, how to eat the palm oil, then the zomi, then the whatever. Zomi and banana is good. You know, when there is no food, any food is good. So I went as far as eating grass kata and bush meat, but they sent me smoked bat when once they heard I wasn't very well. So they sent me smoked bat and I said, I beg you, this one don't cook in the house, don't cook in my pot. So I can't stand the scent, the whole idea. Even the turtle from the bush, I could not bring myself to eat.
Yeah.
I don't mind cow leg and then put in the pot and boil it I will eat, but so you draw the line somewhere, but my mother-in-law in the village, near home, near home, not end of the world, they could get monitor lizard caught and skinned, and she will smoke it once. It's not ready to eat, smoke it again, not yet ready, smoke it 3 times. I tell you that monitor lizard, if you don't get the leg with the 5 finger, you think you are eating ham because she will cut it in portion, and when you peel it, it's pink, it's dry, it's smoked, it's like ham. So I said, okay, that's what I'm doing.
That sounds good. Yeah.
And of course, you know, the mushrooms, and I went with my brother-in-laws to the small river. We had a regular fish trap. So I helped carry the fish trap because I wanted to see what is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went, anyway, now talking about the nice things.
Did your kids join in all of this?
They joined us in the village always. Yeah. I let them bath in that little river where the kids will make a dam, so they have the water up to their seat. So they swim. I said, it's flowing, it's river, it's the 3rd river from the village in the bush.
It's okay, yeah. And then I wanted to talk about the second pregnancy. So with Senna, so we know that every pregnancy is unique to every woman. So you can have one pregnancy and you can feel one way, and then another one you feel different. How was it for you, the second one? Was it?
With Senna, I didn't have quite as many malaria, even if one, because I was maybe immune a little bit, I don't know. And Enyonam was 2 years when I delivered, but 1 day. Okay. So Enyonam was born on the 10th, Senna on the 9th. So the time I went home, I said, your sister is your birthday gift.
Right.
And I have to stand up and fry the first 3 pancakes for the birthday girl.
Wow, the next day?
I was released. I mean, again, 83 was not easier than 81. Yeah. But I had house help. I learned how to live with the help. That was training. Like, I cannot wash the floor. But if it's a daily chore, twice a day chore, it's like, okay, bring the girl.
Yes. So then you bring
have to adopt those things. So I got a little help, although I had the baby too, and no nursery school until 2 years old. Yeah, I didn't let her out of my sight anyway. So
then you had a baby and a toddler at home. How was that? How was life?
I had a house help, what can I say? And there was a man who brought us good food as salary as he could. By then he became petrol engineer. and then he had to go offshore. And it's okay, I was alone, no problem, but then he brought big buckets of fish that they were allowed to fish on the rig. So it's like, okay, well, you are away, but you come back, bring all the fish, it's okay.
It's okay.
And I did my macrame, and I had friends coming to visit. The Hungarians, some of them were living in Tema. Then I had another Hungarian friend who delivered in the same year with me, but she didn't have breast milk, so I breastfed 4 kids. With the first one, her firstborn. With the second one, her secondborn. So it's like, I deliver February, she delivered in May. So it's like, bring the child. And then she had a workplace. She was an engineer, so she went to Tema Steelworks. So it's like she would lock the child in Teshinungua and go on the beach road to Tema Steelworks to work and come home and then pick the child who was fed, and we went to the garden. For me, it's not a problem. It's a life I longed for. My husband went to the beach, Labali, with a baby bath to bring sand when I decided we need a sand pit for the baby, for the child, for the children. I said, put the baby bath in the boot of our first Datsun Sari car, then go and make 2-3 rounds. And so he did, bless his soul. He's late. He passed away 4 years ago. Anyhow, so we did what we...
Well, what would life have been? So, you chose life here. What if you had chosen life in Hungary? Would you have been able to do everything?
I worked in a factory. I was a machinist, believe it or not. And then I did my O-level in correspondence. I went 3 times to school after work. So that was the harder life, because that's what I could afford, my family could afford. And then they will give you money to go to school and to learn. And you sign with the factory 3 years in exchange scholarship.
Okay,
And I did that, but then I already was roped in for talented youth to go to university from factories.
Okay.
And then when they got to know, oh, I made already my O-levels, and it was like, it's a normal way, so sign up for, and I signed up for literature and history. So I would probably be running a cultural center for the village or something like that.
Yeah. And instead you're here, you have Suntrade Bees, a business you had for...
It is a cultural center, let me tell you that.
It is, and it's also a place where you can buy very beautiful bees. And you've been around for, is it 41 years? I went to your 40...
I am 44, but no, the shop is 26 years.
Oh, it's 26.
I made exhibitions since 1987.
Okay.
Goethe Institute was the first venue.
Yeah.
When friends realized that I don't only string beads or something or the other, or make nice home decoration, but I know the local names. I know when to use, how to use. They say, Kati, this is very special. This we didn't know. Why don't you go to Goethe Institute? So I did. And then they liked it.
Yeah.
And they insisted I wrote down a little bit of pamphlet for the show. And I teamed up with another Hungarian lady who was sewing brilliantly, but using local batik. They say Ajoyanki, early 80s. I mean, like, life comes out of hardship. You see, because everybody was hungry, looking for food, looking for better, looking for whatever.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, if they like beads, if they are ready for a little bit of coming along with me and buy my necklaces, I will be happy. And Ilona was sewing dresses out of funky, nice batik.
Yeah.
So we said beads and batik was the exhibition title, 1987.
Yeah.
And the Goethe Institute was around the Danko Circle. Yeah.
Okay. So I think what I'm learning from your story is I'm learning this a very sort of pragmatic way to life. That life is what you choose it to be, and then you just have to go for it. Not so much everything else. So
and one day at a time applies, but you still, every now and then, if you are religious, you pray and you focus and you let go in your thought. Otherwise, these days you say meditate. But you just sit, you pretend to have a coffee or something, and I say, so how is my life? Why are you in Ghana? Mr. Dagan. Is he there? Is he committed? Does he love you? And I said, now you have children. He asked you to go to Canada, you didn't go. Why? Because I want them to get a Ghanaian. So are they Ghanaian? Yes. Is the process on? Do they speak language? Better than me. I said, I'm okay. Do you eat? Well, yes. Could you eat better? Yeah. I knew some person who said, oh, there was no yogurt. That was too much for me to have no yogurt. Yeah, I said, okay, my life is not around yogurt, so let me see the core point.
Yeah.
And if the center is in place, I am in place. So wherever you put me with my center, I can make it at home. So my center included my reason for coming here, my children, and then how you make a home out of all these. From rented house, you still plant something. And my own husband said, why do you plant? We are moving. So every day you come here, every morning you leave from here. Something beautiful to arrive, something beautiful to leave you, to leave your side and long to come back for.
Yeah.
So we had a few chicken, we grew onion. Sometimes he got emboldened, he said corn. So we are putting corn in the yard. I said, okay, you two have your way, have your corn, not only flowers.
Something that's edible. So what would you, just sort of my last question, what would be some advice you have to young women today who are giving birth? And I mean, you've seen how the world and how Ghana has evolved the last 40 years.
Even my own children, I can see time changes. Of course, I'm not blind and I'm not stupid to insist on, you get a kid and then you, by force, you do it. No, you can't do it by force. And sometimes how you marry, sometimes slow or fast, it may not happen to be your life, the choice for a life. Even for me, till death do us part seemed a little long, so after 23 years I did divorce Mr. Dagadu, and I stayed home.
Oh, okay.
By the time the children went to Hungary, he became more and more back home, homeboy, and I could not follow him back that far.
Okay, yeah.
Like have the same cloth and go to one funeral to the other to show me off in a way or something. I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And he will start comparing me to local wives whose life is harder than mine. I said, no, mine was hard enough. If it's not hard enough for you to be proud of it, it's okay.
Yeah. And is that what you
And
tell?
he even divorced before, no, he didn't, but he still thanked me. Listen, before he died, he was Deputy Minister for Energy, in charge of petroleum. He said, "But for you." So I was divorced, but I went for the hearing with my daughter and my first the grandson who was here. We represented him as family.
Yeah.
He too, he couldn't be bothered to say, we are divorced. Me too, I said, divorced, but you are father of my 2 children. I have no other man. I'm coming. Yeah. So those kind of, even he was joking later, he said, you have somebody. I said, what business is that of you? I brought you to Ghana. Whoever you want to fool around, you have to bring him for me to see. I said, you are here. No, we were on very good terms.
Yeah.
So genuinely, honestly, good parents, doting grandparents. So again, I put it down to the core. So every young person to check the reasoning. You don't divorce for flimsy reasons. You don't marry for flimsy reasons. If you think it's the core of your heart approves it or wants it or longs for it, then just longing, no, just because the parents, just pressure, just convenience is not enough.
Yeah, you have to get back to that core. I think that's a very good
Find your core, because we are so superficial. We make the selfie, we look good, we always look the best, but when you sit down alone and you don't have music, you don't have earphone, you don't have anything to entertain you, you have to find time for yourself to commute within you. Some people go to church, but even there you can't commute again. It's too loud, it's too noisy, it's too showy, too much collection, too much everything. So it's a style, lifestyle. Yes, go, no problem. But truly, go to your core, within yourself. You call it meditation, you call it drinking coffee, whatever. Just examine yourself. Why are you here? What are you in this situation? And then also when it gets out of balance, you give wholeheartedly, because that vulnerability makes a bigger magnet than a calculated, I do this, you do this, I do this, you do this, then don't you think what I'm doing is more? You don't even say such a thing. You are wholeheartedly into it. And when you see it's out of balance, then you try to mention it. But until it's out of balance, it's natural, because the sensitivity is that, I've given everything and I don't have to mention, I left my parents, I left my food, I left my whatever. I brought the books, I brought the records, you are here. what are we doing? So where are you going after school? He's coming home because he's going to start the palm oil making, So, but not because I remind him of that. Because he sees that that's how we survive, that's how we grow, and that's when the colleagues come like, hey, this Obroni is going to teach us how to make palm oil, look. And the wives were laughing and bringing garden and making nice, bringing 2 fingers of plantain, something. We make nice, make life worth living.
Yeah.
So not romanticizing hardship, but of course I was young enough not to know much else. And I did not come for a wealthy background. That too helped.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what helped, but certainly to know why I'm here. And every now and then you say that, and you project something like, oh, I will make the macrame and I will sell enough. I hang it on the veranda for people to pass by and come and see. Hey, one day I was laughing because I can't see that one was stolen.
Really?
I took it, chalk it up for success.
Yes, that's a good point. That's
Oh
all
no, somebody liked it and they risked something to steal it.
Yes.
And I was telling my husband, I said, look, you are happy. I said,
I understand that. But thank you so much, Kati. I think what I've really taken away from this is we talk about the core, and I think that connecting with yourself, connecting with your core is important. Even if you're a young woman, you're pregnant for the first time, maybe you're scared, you have some fears, coming back to figure out why you're in this, the importance of your life, of this new baby in your new life, and all that. I think that's really, really powerful and very
inform
important.
yourself, don't live by fear.
No, never live by fear. I agree with you. Absolutely. So thank you very much, everybody who's watching, and thank you so much, Kati. I really appreciate you coming and sharing with us today.
Thank you very much also for the chance. Bye.
Thank you.